Hello, I'm Amanda Hocking, and I'm here for writing on Wednesdays with my chinchilla Gruber. It's been a couple of weeks since I did a video. Well, just a week. I missed last week. Sorry about that. I've been really, really busy lately with just stuff going on in life and really trying to finish this up. I don't know why it's taking me so long to finish this book. I originally hoped that it would be done, that I would have it released by the end of March, and now I'm thinking the beginning of June. So it just kind of keeps going. I just want to make sure that everything's good, and I've got like a lot of ideas, and all the ideas are good, everything's good. It's just, I don't know, just taking me longer to finish than I thought. Because like I've had the bulk of it done for a while, but it's just getting it cleaned up and ready. I've been working on revisions, and yeah, I just really want it to be good, you know? I also wanted to let you guys know, because I mentioned it in other places, but that my Facebook account was hacked, and so I haven't been able to get into my Facebook account for a week now. I've been contacting people and I'm trying to get it figured out, but I don't know how long it's going to take, so just letting you guys know. I'm still active everywhere else on social media. Facebook is not very transparent about what's going on or about how to get back in, so that's kind of what I've been dealing with, but everything else is like fine in the school, and like as always, I also have, if you click the links that I always share afterwards, I've got a newsletter where I share news, and then there's my Instagram and my Twitter I'm pretty active on, and obviously YouTube. So I mean, there's places where you can talk to me and where I can post things. It's just not going to be Facebook for a little while longer. Hopefully not much longer, but I don't really have no idea. There's been a lot going on in the world lately, and so it's been hard for me to focus on much on stuff, because like when I get stressed out by a lot of different things, it can be hard to focus on writing. Even though writing is an escape, it's also not an escape when it's my job. So it's a very complicated relationship that I have with writing. Because writing is how I always used to deal with tension and stress, is you just go in there to escape, and I still do to a degree, but it also is, still part of my my stress, because it's my job, and I really need to think about what I'm doing. And that's not like, I'm not trying to complain, because again, I love my job, and it's the best, and it's what I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it, so I'm not like complaining, but it does make things complicated. And I think especially when there's so much stuff going on in the world that feels so big and so overwhelming and like so never-ending bad news, it can sometimes feel like what I'm doing is very, very silly. um, but I also think it is so it's that's the most important time. I think that's when people need it, and they need stories. They need to hear stories that aren't necessarily reflective of the world that we live in, but can be reflective of the world that we want to live in. Like, because people talk about that a lot. Like, if you can see it, you can be it. That's kind of like a big slogan thing, and there's truth to that. Like when you see it, you can go for it and stuff. I mean, there's the Scully effect is something that's referenced a lot in talking about women in STEM careers. That came on in the '90s. Character of Dana Scully being this really like smart and articulate and also very cool kind of FBI scientist. I can't remember her exact title. I'm so sorry. I'm just like blanking on it. But I know that, I mean, I watched the show a lot, so I know that she did like forensic stuff. But I don't remember what her exact title was. And, but when women saw that, there was a huge spike in women going into STEM careers. It was because like it's just one of those things that you just don't think of until you see someone doing it sometimes. And so I think that's what's important to me about the world that I write, that I'm trying to write, is that some of the things are reflective of the world we live in, but it's also reflective of how I wish the world would be sometimes. I mean, obviously there's really terrible things that happen in my books, and so I'm really glad that some of the terrible things, like, aren't unleashed on the world for real, but the basic prejudices and injustice that the characters deal with, I think, are very, unfortunately, relevant and prevalent in our society. And so the escape is important. But I also think it's important to have lots of people tell their stories, because the ways that I can see the future are limited to my experiences and my insights, and other people will have different insights and different experiences, and they can see things that I can't see, and they can tell me things that I couldn't have seen before, I couldn't have known before. And the world could be better if we're really thinking about those things and incorporating those things, because that's the only way you can fight back against oppression. I mean, I really think that some of the reasons that we're seeing such a knee-jerk and oppression, and we're seeing some of the things kind of go back, 20, 30 years in some of the human rights movements that we've had, is because so many people have a voice. And some people are very angry that some people are allowed to have voices now when they were never allowed to before. And so I think that's something that's very important to keep in mind, that it should never be just one perspective telling a story. Like, in general, I mean, obviously it's totally fine to write a novel that only has one perspective, like, I'm not saying that. But when we talk about, like, the history of the United States or the history of the world, it's important to remember that it wasn't written by one person or one type of person, that there are people all over who have all kinds of diverse backgrounds. There's a great infographic, and I can find it, I will put it up here. People were not reported as having left hands for a long time because it was really demonized. People thought that writing, being left-handed, I'm right-handed, just for the record, but it doesn't matter. Being left-handed, people thought was, a sign of sin or Satan, or I don't remember. It was bad. So they would, like, beat people out of being left-handed. But after we stopped demonizing that, the more people were left-handed were suddenly shot up, because people were left-handed before, but they were hiding it, they were working against it, but their natural inclination was to be left-handed. And we see that too with trans rights. I think that when people think that it's this new thing because we're seeing people talk about it, but people have always been trans. I mean, lots of different cultures have had different... There are many cultures that have historically had more than two genders. Some of them had non-binary, other ones just had more of like a gender fluid idea that you were both. I don't know. I don't know exactly because I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I have done some research into it. I thought about including trans character in my novel Bestow the Darkness, but I felt like the way that I would handle it, and I didn't feel like it was appropriate or the right spot for it. But that doesn't mean there aren't trans characters in the books, and I've said that before, especially because, like, in Bestow the Darkness, Emma Lyeth can't articulate certain things. They don't have the words or the vocabulary for it, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. And that's also true, like, because people just, like, think that being gay is nothing new at all. People have been gay since the beginning of time. I mean, really, you can go back and see historically stuff and see references to it. And yeah, some religions and cultures have been against it at various times, and some religions and cultures have been pro it at various times. I mean, it's been going on forever, but the moral of my story is that people pretend like these things are new, or they think these things are new because the only stories that were allowed to be told were by people who were straight and white and wealthy. But that doesn't mean those are the only stories. It doesn't mean that the other people weren't there, that the other people weren't alongside them, help building, and in fact doing the brunt of the labor. Most of the labor has historically not been done by straight, white, wealthy men. So the brunt of the labor of building the world and everything we've had hasn't been them. And I think that some people are angry that other people are getting credit, that it's not just being handed over to everyone. But I'm kind of going on a tangent because this isn't really about writing. When what I'm really trying to say is that I do think it's super important that you're writing now. Even now more than ever. Like, honestly, when things get dark, that's when you need to write, and you need to find the light and share the story, and it's just... It's not silly, even if it seems silly, and even if the book you're writing doesn't have to be a historical fiction about war. I mean, it's easy to say something like, Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut is a really powerful book on war, and it really is. Like, I think it's an excellent book on war, but there are 100 different ways to write books and to tell stories. And I think, there can even, romance novels people don't think of them as I guess, respected as, Kurt Vonnegut's, but that doesn't mean that they aren't telling things, that they aren't giving people hope and giving people the nourishment that they can to keep going. Because when things get hard, you need to be able to have respite. You need to have something that feeds your soul and makes you feel good so you can get up tomorrow and fight. And I mean, that is why, the blood and circus was so common. I mean, that was the idea behind or blood and circus. It's totally different, sorry. Bread and circus. I think it was the Romans, or possibly the Greek. Romans are Greek. And what that was said was that people, if you give them enough circus to distract them and keep them entertained, and you give them enough bread where they can eat, you can get away with a lot. And you just need to keep those two things going, and society can go, and the oligarchy can get away with as much as it wants. And that can be true up to a point. Because I do think that entertainment is necessary for so many of us to be nourished, to nourish a social and intellectual bonds in a way. I mean, because it's something that we have, and humans just can't stand boredom. And so it's really a lot of things just keeping people bored and busy and tired so they don't have the energy for anything else. And so it's important when you're tired to try to find release and to find ways to give back and to share your story and to push forward. And it can be hard. It can be very hard. Like, I mean, especially like not going into all of the heaviness of the world right now. I mean, I can find it hard to struggle and to find balance. It's like I've just been busy with different stuff going on. I mean, it's life can just be busy sometimes. You know, I mean, my stepson's in sports. I've got 3 dogs and a cat and a husband and a chinchilla, and that all takes a lot of. They take a lot of time, and like I've just been trying to get all my dogs up to their, up to date on their vaccines, and I just it's. I mean, we've been doing like because we get all the animals, and I try to get all their vet appointments kind of like in a cycle, so I can just get them done around the same time of year. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is for me at least. I don't know, and that's it too. Is social activity is draining for me. So I'm still trying to find balance. I guess that's it. There's no easy way. No real easy way. I mean, like part of the reason that Gruber's in the video with me today is because he's really cute, and I know that people like him. But it's also because I can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone by hanging out with him and doing a video, and because the animals always think that they need more attention, even though they do get like a lot of attention, but it's hard to balance everything. It actually finally clicked with me the other day because I was trying to figure out how I could get everything done, and I finally actually really understood what it meant when they said that when you can't do it all. No one can do it all. I mean, I can't. I don't know. I feel like something always has to give. Like I can't have everything in order. Like I can only pick like a few things to get going. Well, like I can focus on my career and my health and you know making sure my stepson's okay and the animals, and then I don't have like a lot after that, and then I'm supposed to keep all those other balls, and I just feel like sometimes I'm not good at juggling. I'm very not good at juggling. But I think the important thing that I've really learned and that I've been working on is that it is okay to have setbacks. It's okay to get overwhelmed. It's okay to get knocked down. I mean, stuff happens and life can be a lot sometimes. But it's important that you just keep getting back up and going forward. You're going to get knocked down. Life is going to knock you down. I mean, there's just no 2 ways about it. And it doesn't mean that it's fair or it's okay. And most of the time, I'm going to say that I probably wish it didn't happen to you or happen to anyone, you know, but it's going to happen. And so what's the most important thing to do is learn how to get back up and to not take getting knocked down personally. It's just what life does. It's just kind of, life can be a bulldozer that just like runs through everything, but it's also what we have. And so figuring out how to get back up and keep going forward is an important skill, really important skill to learn. And I think the easiest thing for me is to just not take it personally. And also to allow yourself some grace, to be forgiving if you kind of get overwhelmed and you freak out. Allow yourself to have times where you need to rest and recharge. And you're not a terrible person if you can't do it all. You're not a terrible person if you're struggling to figure out the balance and the juggling. And because it takes time to figure out what works for you. And even if something works for you now, it doesn't mean it will next week, you know? Stuff is always changing. It's never staying the same. And that can be really scary. But it also means that there's always the potential for better. There's always hope that something better is coming because it's not going to stay like this. You know, and so it's important that we keep pushing forward and persevering. And I mean that for everyone. I think it's important that we persevere. And yeah, we're apparently very shy today. He's just been hiding out back there. You can see my chest is red. I'm allergic to chinchillas. I'm a glutton for punishment sometimes. I'm allergic to all of That's basically it. I'm just kind of touching base with you guys. Oh, I also wanted to remind you guys of the book club that I'm working on. I have not read the book yet because I wanted to read it closer to in the video, so it's really fresh in my mind. But I'm actually really excited to read it. We will again, and the reminder is we are reading A Dark and Starless Forest by Sarah Hollowell. I always name wrong and I don't know why. And we'll be having the book club on May 20th. And I was going to have all over social media, including Facebook, but I don't know if I'm going to be on Facebook. I might figure out something a little different then. But I will keep you posted exactly where I am going to be. Basically, you'll find me on, so I'll be on Instagram on May 20th talking about the book. And it will be on Twitter and YouTube, so you'll find me and I'll talk about it. I'm really trying to finish up this book, and I've got some fun stuff coming. I also was thinking about trying to do some mermaid posts. I think next week I'm going to talk more about water song again, because it's May, and people love mermaids. I know I love mermaids. I even have I was hoping to show you guys a new character for my next book, but the book's not done yet. So I might hint at some stuff. Hopefully next week I'll be able to talk about it a bit more. But I've just been finishing up this book, trying to get it ready for you guys, and trying to get some other stuff going. And I've got a chinchilla in my hair right now, so yeah. This Gruber, my chinchilla. He's my sweet boy. You can see because I'm handling a little bit his fur. It's kind of greasy, so when I get back and put him in his cage, he'll have a dust bath to help get the oils out of his fur. He loves that stuff. His favorite things are chin scratches underneath his chin and behind his ears. He does not like having his butt touched. He usually barks at me when he got like a little chirpy bark. That's pretty cute. But I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. Next week, again, like I said, I should be talking about Water Song, which will be fun. And then hopefully I'm gonna have more news about the new book very soon. And the new book, if you're not, it's the 7 Fallen Hearts that it's good. It's gonna be good. You guys are gonna love it. I'm just sure of it now. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, and happy reading.